And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture for each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Inside sports, fantasy football. We're still going to be dropping an episode here in the not too distant future covering our Super Bowl picks. So go ahead and check that out wherever you get your podcasts. Also, as well, of course, our good friends Lakers in 5, Empire Jeff TV. Of course, John Costa's Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. John McCalian, his channel as well. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Of course, Lakerholics.com. Go ahead and check out what's going on with Laker Tom and Jamie Sweet, who I'm hoping will get a chance to stop by and talk Lakers here during the Lakers NBA trade deadline special right here. The best NBA trade deadline special that's out there right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Plus also as well our good friend Joe Soro. Don't forget, a whole day with us here at the Lakers Fast Break, including the NBA trade deadline special. We'll be here till 1 p.m. Pacific. Then at 3 p.m. Pacific, we're coming back to you for the Kobe Bryant statue unveiling podcast for an hour. We have some great things planned for you there. Then after that, about 6:30 Pacific, we're going to hit you up with the pregame from 6:37, and then game time, Lakers and Nuggets. And after that, the best post game that's around, Lakers Fast Break. And of course, topping off your evening, Joe Soro with a nightcap for you, where we'll go ahead and talk some Super Bowl and of course the trade deadline as well. Yes, Frank. Mavs fan that you are, my friend, you're getting, looks like Daniel Gafford heading to you as the NBA trade deadline is now underway fully right now, coming down to the wire. A flurry of activity involving a ton of rotation players going around, assets being moved back and forth, and we're here to cover it. We'll go ahead and make sure we give you a rundown of everything going on here in regards to the NBA trade deadline. But here, first off, to talk about what's going on with the NBA trade deadline are two of our great panelists indeed. First up is, of course, Zangerstein. If you see on the right-hand corner of your screen here on YouTube and Facebook, truly appreciate it. Please like and subscribe to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Zangerstein is here. Z, give a big shout out to PMC. And coming up here in a second is Stone Hansen. But Zangerstein, for the Lakers in this flurry of activity, we have yet to see anything from Rob Pelinka as of yet, Zangerstein.
Yeah, I think this is expected because we know for the past 4 seasons that Rob he has no gravitas in the NBA. So he doesn't do better when it comes to the margin. He's always targeting these big deals. And last season, if you see this, he has no choice but to make a trade because none is expiring, as well as Russell Westbrook. So he needs to do something. But this season, he doesn't need to. He feels like if it's a small deal, it's not worth it. That's why I think they're not going to make any deals because right now the Nets is also dealing everything that they have. So I think that potential Atlanta Nets and Lakers trade is already gone.
Well, there's still much more. Hopefully, we can talk about on today's show. And also, a good man here is indeed with us today. Once again, always blessed to have him here as well as Z. It is Stone Hansen. Stone, glad to have you here. Not exactly the way I think everybody envisioned as far as Lakers fans are concerned, as far as the lack of activity for Rob Pelinka. There's still 2 hours left as we start talking here, my friend. Your thoughts on what's going on with the NBA trade deadline?
A lot of smaller moves, kind of like I thought. As you were talking, another one came through for PJ Washington going to the Mavs, and the Mavs will be sending a first-round pick, Grant Williams and Seth Curry. And I think that's probably the biggest move that we've seen so far today. I the Mavs, I think, are having a pretty good deadline.
Yeah, with Daniel Gafford added on to it, and we'll talk about that in detail over the next 2 hours.
Yeah, there's, I mean, some good deals, not like major needle movers, kind of like I figured. Obviously, Buddy Hield to the Sixers is one of the bigger ones. There's a lot of smaller moves that are financially based. When you talk about like House in a second, go into the what was it? I'm already forgetting. Pistons, I think.
Mhm.
So there's teams trying to cut down because they don't want to hit that second apron because the second apron just has so many penalties. Teams don't want to do that. It's not enforced until next season, and the Lakers would be butting up right against it as currently constructed. So um, maybe we see some sort of little cost cutting move there. But yeah, the fact that there's no momentum, it sounds like, on a DeJounte deal, and with the Nets, the only thing is the Nets still have kept Royce O'Neal and Finney Smith, and they both have a lot of suitors. So the fact that they haven't made a deal yet and the Lakers haven't makes me wonder if that's still in play to some degree. But we know Dinwiddie no longer is; he's gone. And yeah, I think it's going to be a fairly boring deadline. Like I said, a lot of movement, just not really that impactful names. Dallas is getting a starter and a solid bench player, and maybe the Knicks got a starter with Bogdanovich. But yeah, not a ton of big names, and I think it's by this point probably going to be that way for the rest of it.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It's our live NBA trade deadline coverage. Hopefully, you will be joining us throughout the day. We got a ton of programming planned for you. As far as everyone is concerned, how do you think it's going down right now for the Lakers? Do you like the inactivity on the Lakers? Do you want to hold firm and stand pat, or do you want changes still yet to be made? Please let us know in the chat. The best Lakers chat room that's out there is the Lakers Fast Break. Zangerstein is asking everybody out there about the Kobe statue that's being unveiled later today around 3 p.m. Unfortunately, Joe was trying to see if he could finagle his way through and get that going as far as being there on site. But unfortunately, it is being held very privately. It is being cordoned off to the public in any entirety. So hopefully we will get a chance to, as Joe will hopefully get the opportunity to go ahead and showcase that at some point in time down the road. But yes, definitely looking forward to seeing what we can go ahead and talk about later today with the Kobe statue unveiling, and of course tonight with the Lakers at Denver. But right now, it's the NBA trade deadline. Z, one of the teams I was hoping we could talk about right now, because we have yet to see what's going on with the Lakers, is the New York Knicks. It looks like the Dallas Mavericks and the New York Knicks are taking the most aggressive stance on adding to their team in a win now mode. Your thoughts on what the Knicks have done so far? Again, I'm going to be sounding off the trades here and rounding it off for audio listens here in a bit, but your thoughts so far on what the Knicks have done this NBA trade deadline?
I think the Knicks have actually used their connections. If we look at it, Leon Rose is actually a CAA, a member of the CAA agency. So I think that one helped him a lot, give him a lot of connection within the league. And at the same time, I think two of their players right now, Bronson and OG, has a dad, a father in their organization. So I think he used it to his advantage. And at the same time, the Raptors giving up OG, I think it was a mistake that they didn't trade him last season. So they have no choice but to trade him for better prospects. Second is that Leon Rose also noticed that if you look at it, Tibbs wasn't using the young guys anyway, right? is not using them. So what's the point of keeping them? Instead, go for the veterans that are available. And that's what they did. Not to mention, they actually didn't spend any of their first round picks, so they can actually attract another star or trade for another star next season. I think they really did well. I think they're the top. I based on their games, I think if they're healthy, I think they can win 2 rounds of the playoffs. That's what I think.
Well, they have been playing extremely well as of late, Stone, and the additions today of Boyan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks for Quentin Grimes, Malachi Flynn, Evan Fournier, and Ryan Arcidia Kono, and 2 future second round picks, to me seems like it's a major statement that the Knicks are ready to go into win now mode.
Yeah, I think the Knicks are going to want to go for it as much as they can. I still don't think this puts them at the top tier. I think, like Z saying, maybe they get to Eastern Conference Finals, but I don't think they have enough to get to the finals. I think they're a really good team still, but they're still a little bit of ways. They need, maybe to consolidate for a bigger name and get like a third star in there. Uh, they're beat up right now. Hope the expectation is they'll all be healthy by the time the playoffs start. I think this is a good addition for sure. I like Bogdanovich, and I think he's gonna, be really good for them. I don't really see them being better than the Celtics. I just think for right now they're like top tier for me. But we'll see what happens. There's a lot of names still to be moved, but I just at this point don't really think any single player is going to be a big enough needle mover to really shift the direction a team was headed. I think the Knicks are they got better, but not better enough to really, make me view them as a stronger contender than they were before the deadline. So I think that's going to be the case for a lot of these teams. They're getting better, some of them, the Mavs too, but it doesn't necessarily make me think that they're going to go any further in the playoffs.
So one of the trades that just went down right now, you guys, and Z also as well. Brooklyn is finalizing a trade. They're sending Royce O'Neal to the Phoenix Suns for, they haven't decided yet what salaries to match, but also 3 second-round picks. Royce O'Neal was another name that was mentioned to the Lakers, Z, that looks like he is off the board.
Yeah, I think this is going to be that I I forgot his name, but that was one of the youngsters in the Suns. I think this is a good move for the Suns because they just need some support for their trio, I guess, because they can't do anything on the margins anyway. They cannot sign a. I think Harris was already waived, so they cannot sign. The Suns cannot sign any of the waived players. They're gonna stick with what they have, and they need someone who can defend in the perimeter. So I think this is a good move for them.
Well, let's go ahead and do a rundown real quick of what's going on with the NBA trade deadline so far. Some of the things that have been mentioned again is still being finalized, but Royce O'Neal is heading to Phoenix in a trade involving some second round picks and probably some players as well. Looks like they're still trying to match up those salaries. Dallas is sending Charlotte a lightly protected 2027 first round pick and some other assets for the to the Charlotte Hornets for Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and to as far as they're going to Charlotte, and what's coming to Dallas is PJ Washington. So PJ Washington to the Dallas Mavericks for Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and a first round draft pick that's slightly protected in 2027. So definitely interested to see how that's going to work out for Dallas. Grant Williams, I guess they were so happy with him in Dallas, as Frank will probably tell you that's in our chat, that they decided to move on from him, a little bit more than half a year later there, Stone. So they also got Daniel Gafford in a trade for the Washington Wizards. That is for Rashawn Holmes, and I believe also some other compensation as well. That's going to be some draft compensation as well. So your thoughts, Stone, on what Dallas has done to possibly, yes, as Joe arrives here, possibly, I guess, try to distance themselves from the next team below them, which happens to be the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Dallas overall has done just a completely awful job botching this Luka era. They've put pretty much zero talent around Luka this entire time. They brought Kyrie in, who only plays half the games, and when he does play, he's not a very good fit with Luka. So I think Dallas has completely botched this. But they did make moves, I think, to get players that actually are like pretty solid rotation players. Have PJ that can defend the perimeter a bit for you. They don't really have anyone that does that besides Josh Green at the moment. And Luka's taken a step in the right direction there. Gafford gives them a really solid backup big now. You obviously have Lively, even though he's out with a broken nose, so Gafford will start in the short term. But I think that once Lively's back, Gafford gives them a really solid lob threat, rim runner, sort of like fills the Dwight Powell role that he's been doing for so long, and he's gotten worse at. So I think Dallas is.
What does this do, though, for Derek Lively's juniors? I guess this as far as his growth and maturity maybe being stunted a little bit with Daniel Gafford being there.
Absolutely nothing, in my opinion, because Gafford's just. I think they know that Lively is, their long-term center answer, and so Lively, I think, is going to play the same role he has, and Gafford is just going to fit into a lesser role. I think Gafford is a backup big, a good one, but he's in an inflated role in Washington that he wouldn't be on in a better team. He shouldn't be playing, 30 plus minutes on the team. So I think Gafford probably settles into, 14, 16 minute a night role, and you have Lively and he continues to grow there. And I think they probably jump ahead of the Lakers long term for the rest of the season. I think that with these additions, it's enough to get them over the Lakers, and put themselves at least in a higher seed in the play-in tournament. And we'll see what happens, but I don't think they're gonna go much farther than the second round either. It's just they just don't have, much like the Lakers, the assets to really go after someone bigger.
Before we get to Joe, I just want to go ahead and run down some of the trades that have happened so far today. Wanted to go ahead and mention, first off, that the Philadelphia 76ers acquired Buddy Hield from the Indiana Pacers for Marcus Morris, Furkan Korkmaz, and 3 second-round picks. And Toronto Raptors have acquired Kelly Olynyk and Ochai Agbaji from the Utah Jazz in exchange for Otto Porter, Kira Lewis, and a 2024 first-round pick. The OKC Thunder are acquiring from the Charlotte Hornets Gordon Hayward for guard Trey Mann and Davis Bertans. And the Philadelphia 76ers are trading Daniel House, second-round picks to the New York Knicks, via the New York Knicks, to the Detroit Pistons to give them a little bit more space there. The New York Knicks did acquire Alec Burks, and also as well, I believe, Bojan Bogdanovic in exchange for Quentin Grimes, other assets, and 2 future second-round picks. So 3 future second-round picks, I believe. So yes, actually 2 future second-round picks. So including the contract of Evan Fournier, which I know is extremely valuable. But also here today, a good man indeed. He is the madman behind Simblades, SimbladesWithY.com. Set for a long day with me here at the Lakers Fast Break. It is the guy hosting the Lakers Nightcap, Joe Soro. Joe, good to have you here. I know Henry Hill from Courtside Lakers earlier this morning sent us a for fun, picture of Rob at Disneyland. Now, mind you, it was kind of dated, but still, Rob, it was a picture of Rob at Disneyland. So, with the lack of activity from Rob today so far that we see, could he be at Disneyland? Because he doesn't seem to be doing much right now.
No, they're probably preparing for Kobe's statue unveiling.
Okay.
The evening and afternoon works really well for Rob and Jeannie because the Kobe statue can be a mask for their inadequacies, and then not too long after that, you'll have the NFL awards being presented. Every sports event seems to be going on tonight because neither league can let the other league get one up on them. And to put a nice little frosting on everything, apparently Adam Silver decided that he wanted to get more advertising money to the tournament by putting badges on the refs that say Emirates, which I can't help but see the irony in that. It's an overhaul of oil that's coming everywhere you go now, and this is at the allowance of people who stand there and insult everyone's intelligence. And I say everyone's intelligence as in those who are actually intelligent, which is probably not many, in that they'll stand. I keep hearing that word stand. We stand with this, we stand with that. But then the second someone whom you're standing against comes and throws a little Andrew Jackson in your face or George Washington, all of a sudden you start sitting down. I don't think I could have put it that way. I don't think I could have said that. And I wasn't planning on it, really. I don't think I could have put that any other way without being all the way with it. It's rather pathetic that every day I get up, I see the sellouts just popping out of everywhere, and the disgust that I have for these sellouts, because they're at the forefront. They're the ones that make the calls on a lot of big things, and they're the biggest blank sucking scumbag vampires out there. And they'll do anything for that dollar. For what at the end? 20 billion isn't enough. We have to have 30 billion. And all that so that you can put a patch on your employees. I just think the irony there is unreal. I might be going too deep here. Maybe I'm frustrated that the Lakers are going to be standing pat, which we knew already. I guess I'm not that upset. I knew this was going to happen. But I have major problems with two-face Fs that are, I guess, constantly materializing every day in every phase of life. The one solace we have is the game. And I think at the end of the day, that's the last thing that we can somewhat enjoy and not have to worry about all that, is once the ball goes up, it's about the game. You can't really mess with that. But then, maybe the refs might. Maybe the refs are doing that wrong. I don't know. But I just think it's funny. I think today's rather just, I guess it's this is what we have now. This is what we have to look forward to.
So with all that said and done, again, I just wanted to mention that what we see with Phoenix getting David Roddy and also as well Royce O'Neal in a trade, I think, for 3 second rounders, as far as I've seen, and a pick. Memphis is sending David Roddy to the Suns for a pick swap as part of a 3-way with Phoenix and Brooklyn. And I believe the 3 second round picks are going also as well in the deal. So yeah, Phoenix, though, even with its limited assets, are making moves. All these other teams are making moves, yet the Lakers seem like, as of now, with 90 minutes to go, they're just standing pat.
First, I think Joe missed what I said earlier, that we know this because we know that Rob's weakness is on the margins. That's his weakness. He wants the big names, and because that actually, if it's a big name, it's actually going, oh, the Lakers got this and that. Last season it was just masked because they do need to trade Westbrook. They can't wait around and do nothing. But do you think that if Westbrook still has a 1 year left on his contract, that they're gonna he's gonna be traded? No. So I think this, in a market wherein you're just gonna use your second round picks and you can't do anything for that, then it reflects a lot that this organization cannot work on the margins, and that it's because their front office is too thin. Unlike the others, they don't have Jerry West, who has more connections, although they've already done what needs to be done this season. Even though Danny Ainge, everyone hated that guy, but he's also getting it done on the margins. And now Sam Presti, they don't have that big GM who is connected with the other organizations. So, and not to mention the Suns, I think they did well for, they have what now, Royce O'Neal and David Roddy, because they don't need their guys, and their front office or their owner is willing to spend everything for their team. So we've expected this, that it's going to be like a dead, but when I saw that the Nets are trading everything that they can, I think, yeah, they're not gonna do anything because all the names that we've discussed for the past 2 days were gone.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is our NBA trade deadline coverage. Truly appreciate everyone being here. Everyone's checking their phones. Everyone's checking their Twitter. Everyone's checking what's going on with the Lakers or what's going on in the trade deadline. Again, still 90 minutes to go as of now. Stone, I still think maybe Rob might pull something along what Z was talking about alongside the fringes. I think there's still hope for that, but it's getting, with each passing minute, getting less and less likely the Lakers are going to get what you were asking for, a starter by the end of the day.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think it's going to be, like I said, it doesn't matter what trade we would have made; it wouldn't have mattered. It's not going to get us any further than what you're expecting. So, I'm not going to be that disappointed because I've already, I don't have any hopes that we're going to go to the playoffs. So, we'll see what happens. I think, yeah, I mean, maybe you move a Jackson Hayes or something, but that's maybe about it. I don't know. Doesn't seem like we'll be moving a lot. I think the Lakers are making a big mistake not moving D'Angelo because if he walks, he just lost him for nothing. So we'll see what happens. Lakers to me are, yeah, it's a massive misstep to not move him, but we'll, there's still time, I guess. Never know.
There is still time. Just a little less than 90 minutes left. Joe, again, I was not saying I'm a proponent, but I was a realist when talking about the Lakers probably not making that many big moves because of the financial implications in regards to where they're at. I know Z had talked about wanting to keep Mo Bamba and Malik Beasley because of the hard cap situation with the Lakers, and thinking that might provide them more flexibility, but also it could keep them in the repeater tax if they would have kept those salaries. So again, everything said and done, I think that there is still real financial implications to what the Lakers are doing. And I think that is coming into play from what I'm seeing so far, Joe.
Well, one, I can't go off at the moment. Something still may happen here.
It still may happen. That's
we
true.
still have 88 minutes to go. I just think it's interesting that the day I do really wish we were wrong more. It would make things much easier, but in trying to see if there's something here as well. What's the incentive really of a Bruce Brown or Caruso? Like, let's just say they luck out and they're able to get those guys for a couple of second-round picks. What changes? What really changes? Is that going to fix the internal chemistry that they've seemed to have an issue with? And I'm going to go back to 2021 as an example. First of all, Bruce Brown, you've heard me say this because those are the names that we want. Those are the names that are out there, right? I'm going to use those as an example. Bruce Brown is the quintessential contract year player. Bruce Brown went nuts last year for Denver for two reasons. Number one, he was on a Denver team that clicked, and he had the ability to do what he did because of those around him. And the motivation for him was to get his big contract. Since then, would you say that he has been pretty mediocre? I mean, you're talking about a guy that may end up being on his third team in less than 4 months. This year, 4 teams in the last 8 months. And I'm supposed to be convinced that this Bruce Brown is going to help. Again, Ramon Sessions comes to mind. Ramon Sessions. Everything comes from past experiences when we get thorough with our answers. Those who get down when Stone or I or Gerald tell you the truth. This is not coming from our feelings. See, that's a misconception. It's not about our feelings. The rants aren't about my feelings. It's about what's happened in the past and what continues to happen. And we've already apologized at our greediness. Joe, you guys just won a championship in 2020. My team hasn't won squat. I don't give a damn about your team. Okay? I don't care about Charlotte, New Orleans, Minnesota. You guys are useless to me. I don't care. Sorry, I don't. This is the LA Lakers. Okay? We win. We don't win, we get greedy. It's just something you're going to have to accept. And the sad thing about the situation with LA is they have every resource on the planet to get the best people on the planet to work for their club. You have any idea how many people would be waiting in line to work for the Lakers? It's the greatest resume you can have if you're talking about basketball in the world. Yet, what do? You get those who are just not good at what they do. That's just what it is most of the time. Coaching especially. So now you want me to believe that Bruce Brown is the savior. Maybe not the savior. Someone who's going to really help with a mediocre coach, if at best, or maybe Caruso. And again, going back to 2021, a lot of the reasons why that trade for Westbrook was an option for them before they actually made it a trade was the fact that they couldn't score that year in spurts. So they kind of overcorrected. That's why they let go of Alex Caruso. That and the fact that he was injury prone. He seemed to always be injured. That was another reason why. So with that, Lakers don't have any assets from a personnel standpoint, really, to get the impact player that Z says that Rob is wanting. He doesn't work around the margins, which I think is a good assessment. But we also don't have any draft capital because we traded all that for Anthony Davis, which is still a good deal. I'm not angry about it. It's just what it is. So now the timeline is really set on the LeBron. If LeBron was 5 years younger, this wouldn't be an issue right now. Likely be a better team because he'd be 5 years younger, but also, you could wait till the summer to get a couple more first rounders if you wanted to bring somebody in with any relevance during the summer. But either way, I think that's what they're going to have to do anyways this summer. I think they're going to have to eat it here and just hope for the fact that they run into a playoff run here where most of the people that are relevant end up having maybe an injury here and there that opens the gate up a little bit. There's going to be a lot of luck that needs to come for any team to win this year, in my opinion. The luck, which is starting to feel like baseball. The NBA playoffs are kind of starting to get into that baseball area where maybe any team can win. It's not there yet because Denver was still a first seed. They beat everybody. Yeah, Miami kind of defied the odds in the East, but you all know how I feel about the East. I don't need to go into that again. So with that, looking at in less than 90 minutes, you're looking at Will squeezing that last bit of juice out of that orange allow another team to finally say, okay, we waited long enough. Let's just get something. If Chicago says, let's just get something for this guy, because he's not going to really do anything for us now, which is not necessarily true. Chicago wants to compete. Chicago wants that extra playoff revenue or play-in revenue if they can get it. Teams care about that stuff, folks. Masai up in Toronto, I don't know what the hell he's doing, trading a first-round pick for Kelly Olynyk. What was that all about? Anybody logically tell me what the hell that was about?
The Raptors, I know, really liked Ochai Agbaji pre-draft. They really wanted him, and obviously the Raptors' weakness is the wing who defends. Agbaji to me is terrible, but so it's a late first in 2024, I think. They mostly did it for Agbaji, and my guess is they're going to try and flip Olynyk before the deadline ends to recoup the first that they sent out.
Yeah.
Do you want to mention that
And,
Joe's? Oh, I just want to mention that Joe's favorite player, Pat Bev, is being moved to Philadelphia
To Milwaukee.
To Milwaukee, excuse me, for draft compensation.
Milwaukee, what are you doing?
They sent a campaign and a second rounder for him, and Pat Bev announced his own trade.
As Pat Bev would do.
Yeah. That guy's a character.
There you go. So, Joe, any thoughts on that for Pat Bev going to Milwaukee for campaign and a second round pick?
Terrible trade for Milwaukee. You're having some internal issues there, team wise, whomever, and you decide to bring a cackling weasel to your team on top of that. That's a terrible, terrible freaking decision. Doc Rivers is going to want to throw him off a building within a week.
Interesting that teams like relatively close to each other in the standings are doing business with each other. Z, I want to ask you about that as far as, again, Philadelphia, Milwaukee trading with each other, plus also Indiana trading with Philadelphia. So these teams don't seem to be worried about where they are in the standings.
We don't want Pat Bev to destroy the Bucks again. We need the Lakers need somebody to beat the Celtics. The more teams in the East that can take those guys out, the less hit this year will be should the Lakers not do anything. The Celtics thing is a very, very scary thing, especially now with Embiid injured. This is not good. If Milwaukee's out, and it looks like the Sixers are going to be out, this don't look like everything I'm hearing. Embiid's injury is not very good right now. It's serious. That's not good. You're going to depend on the Knicks? Can't depend on the Knicks. Sorry, folks. I don't care what they did today. They're not dependable. They just shuffled some players and got maybe a little bit better, but I'm not looking at the Knicks to be a top 2-3 seed at this point. Sorry, I just don't see it. As great as Brunson is, I shouldn't say great, as good as he is, because we like to anoint people that are great way too much. I don't see him being. This is not Madison Bumgarner who can run through a playoff out of nowhere. That doesn't happen like that in the NBA. At some point, the MVP and the best team come out and they win, unless there's a massive injury somewhere at the worst time in the finals, which has happened before in the past. 2019 being one, 2004 with the Lakers and the Pistons. It's happened, of course, the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2015. You got to be careful. You got to be careful of that, guys. Got to make sure that there's enough guys out there that can take out the Celtics. Otherwise, this thing gets worse in June. Should they win, it'll be tragic.
Brooklyn Nets are waiving Harry Giles III. I know what was mentioned earlier in the chat. Joe Harris was also waived by the Detroit Pistons. Z, you wanted to go ahead and interject in there as well. I apologize for not getting you sooner on that.
No, it's okay. I was just thinking that that and for the Bucks, I think they have more problem than that perimeter defender, that POA defender. I think their main problem is that Bane is not the same. He's not the same as last season because they are giving some shots for everybody. It wasn't just they, and Giannis doesn't want to screen, and that's their main problem. Not the perimeter defender, I guess, because I think they can do something in the backcourt, but in the front court. But that's what I was thinking for there. But I think Pat Bev is a nice fit if it's Dame, Pat Bev, and they have a Malik as the bench scorer, because that is also one of the problem because Connaughton wasn't doing anything. So I think it is a good marginal because they don't have a choice. They need defense on that backcourt. So they at least they did something on the margins. But yeah, I think Joe is right that you need the Bucks and the Knicks or the Cavs or anyone else to do something because it seems like with the Tillman trade, the Celtics got better. That's their problem. It's the bench. Now Tillman is there to anchor the defense of their bench. It was a good deal for them and they don't have to waste a pick.
Stone, your thoughts so far? Again, just a flurry of activity when it comes to rotation players, seemingly moved left and right. We're now well over, I think we're over 15 trades right now. A lot of activity, but not a lot of sheer substance, just a lot of moves like was mentioned earlier by Z, a lot of moves around the margins so far.
Yeah, I think that's mostly what we expected. If there was going to be a big trade, I think it was going to be involving DeJounte, and whether that was with the Lakers and D'Angelo Russell or to the Pelicans with Valanciunas. But neither of those have been.
Detroit Pistons are releasing Killian Hayes. The Killian Hayes #1 draft pick talk is now over.
That's interesting. I would be interested in him as a buyout guy. I'd be interested in him more than I would Chris Paul or Kyle Lowry. Not that it's going to help us much, but so
speaking of which, the Warriors. Speaking of which, the Warriors isn't also doing anything, like at all.
I don't think they can. They just they're in the Lakers situation.
CP3 is there, and no one's trading for his expiring.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Thunder prioritized Hayward over his expiring over Chris's. But yeah, and I know people think Joe Harris is exciting. He's terrible now. I wouldn't roster him. He's not a buyout candidate.
Too many injuries. It's derailed his work.
Absolutely. He used to be a lot more scrappier defensively. Not that he was ever super good, but he had a lot more effort on that end. He's not the same guy he used to be. He can't get the shooting motion from sidestepping and things like that. So Not interested in Joe Harris on the roster. I don't think he's good. Killian Hayes gets a bad rap of being awful, but he is actually a decent defender. And I'll take that because he's better than any other guard defender that we have at the moment. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to continue to suck for the rest of the season is basically what's going to happen.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. It is our NBA trade deadline live special. Again, we're not seeing much activity when it comes to the Lakers, Joe, but as again, I'm sure we're going to hear it. We're the beacon of positivity once again, Joe. Just tell it like it is, but some people just don't want to hear it like it is, Joe.
Well, I think the probably most irritating part of this is the fact that we have to reiterate it. I don't think that needs to be done anymore. We are what we are, and what we are is we are the announcers to the obvious. That it's gonna be official here in about an hour and 12 minutes.
Okay.
But it's not a surprise, folks. I was leaning towards 0 being done today more than anything else. That's just, if you're in it as much as we are, without the connections, it's really not about the connections, really, at least right now from what I'm seeing. Even guys like Woj and Shams, what do they know that we don't know?
Chris Haynes is reporting that the probable path for the Los Angeles Lakers is standing pat.
No way! Oh my God!
With potential to acquire another star player in the offseason. Armed with 3 first-round draft picks.
Can we discuss who is that? Who is that? Because
that's no one. That's the answer.
There's no one, right? There's no one.
Hey guys.
So I don't know what they're doing, honestly, because there's no one.
The as long as
if Atlanta doesn't even want to trade Murray for a first round, how are you gonna get Trae Young? They're not gonna do that.
Nope. As long as we have LeBron on this team, we cannot build a contender. It's financially just not possible. And the Lakers just absolutely made a massive mistake by not moving D'Angelo because in my opinion, he's walking this summer and you just lost him for nothing.
And the reason why he said that, because I know Adam had an issue with that, what you said that when you reiterated that earlier. I think the reason why you're saying is because somehow when he goes out into the free agency, as far as, or having the decision to make on whether or not he should pick up the final year or not, those guys have on the inside already knowledge of whether or not, for the most part, obviously Christian Wood didn't, but for the most part, usually know if they're going to go ahead and get some type of an extension from their own team or someone else.
Look at the way he's playing. He's playing the best basketball of his career, so he can make at least $18 million on the open market right now. Someone is going to be willing to pay that with how he's playing right now. So why wouldn't he decline that option and take a long-term deal with someone else? To me, that makes more sense. I mean, so yeah, I think by not trading D'Angelo, you're just letting a salary slot, an impactful salary slot, and an asset walk out the door for nothing, and you just
again, right?
Yep,
I mean, they've done that for multiple years now.
Yeah,
let go everybody for nothing.
Asset management sucks.
Yeah. That's why the margins, they suck at the margins. We've been seeing it for a couple of seasons now. What they didn't, because they don't want to pay luxury taxes. That's what it is. They don't want to pay the same as.
Well, they're in the.
Kind of funny.
It's a repeater tax situation, Z. So if they go back into the tax.
But the Warriors has paying a repeater's tax for 7 years now.
I understand that, but they've got obviously certain reasons why. Chase Center makes a lot of money. I mean, so do the Lakers, but obviously the Lakers, when we talk about them, they penny pinch more than you would expect out of a team that's worth $9 to $11 billion if it went up for the market right now. So it is kind of surprising in one certain ways, but from what we've seen over the course of the past few seasons, Z, Stone, and Joe, this does not surprise me. This is something I've been trying to tell everyone out there for a long time, something that Stone and Joe have been trying to tell everyone out there for a while, that the reality is that the Lakers just don't have enough assets to get something large enough at the trade deadline as of now, from what we're seeing, Joe, that could get everybody happy and where the Lakers want to be.
Laker fans are not supposed to be the barometer in this in a lot of ways. It's supposed to be you and the team and trying to be successful. The reason why I say that is most Laker fans are delusional, incoherent, and just not very smart. They just want to trade for the sake of trading. They want to cheer for the backup quarterback when the starter isn't playing well, even though the backup quarterback sucks. And I remember that very well this year when Kenny Pickett wasn't playing really as well as we thought he would. And of course, you wanted Trubisky in there. Trubisky is a monstrosity of quarterbacking. I wasn't. You look at the past 5 seasons and how things have worked out. Is the one championship enough to cover up the fact that you've had LeBron that long? It's more than 5 seasons, actually 6, and you've missed the playoffs twice. I don't like that. I don't like when a star player misses the playoffs. Kobe missed the playoffs in 2005, and it still bothered me. Like, how do you miss the playoffs with a star? How badly did you manage the team? Well, Joe, injuries and this and that. Well, maybe if you had a better team, you wouldn't have to worry about that. But and there's a backdrop to that too. They didn't prepare for Kobe's departure. Instead, they gave him $30 million more, which, there was a severance pay there. I get it. But you should have been preparing instead of depending on losing. And this makes so much sense to explain now because it's happened. I remember distinctively. I said, when teams lose on purpose to get a better draft pick, there's a loser mentality that starts to infect that organization, and it doesn't go away when you get your guy. It doesn't just the next day it's good. When San Antonio lost in 1996, they had just come from the Western Conference Finals the year before with David Robinson. David Robinson got hurt. They punted that year, and then they got Tim Duncan, and then they started winning again because their team wasn't that bad. David Robinson was still a star. On the downside, but still a star. And then same thing kind of happened to the Warriors recently here. The only problem was they couldn't get a Tim Duncan in their draft when they had that punted year or after that punted year. And even them, look at them. They infected themselves with that losing so they could get that. And again, it's not, to some degree, it is a smart move, but it's not, because it infects, the losing infects. But then they wanted 2022. And then you're back and forth with this. What about Trey Thompson? Well, Klay Thompson. What about Draymond Green? And everybody wants to kind of relive what's worked when it's not there anymore. It's not there anymore in Golden State. Draymond Green should not have been signed last summer. Klay Thompson likely needs to go because he's up for a contract extension. You can't give him the money for that. He's not who he was. And we all knew he wasn't going to be that guy. LeBron right now is on the downside of his career. He's not who he needs to be for this team to be a 2-man star team. especially when you have players that don't play defense. So now, how are you going to work this out this summer? This is really an important summer for the Lakers at this point. What are they going to do? Are they going to finally work ahead of themselves, or are they going to try to hold on to LeBron and say, let's just keep trying to do something that's not working and ruin AD's chance at being a winner again? Those are the questions I'm thinking of right now. Honestly, I don't give two craps about this trade deadline. It's over, folks. The trade deadline excitement is over, folks. Adam Silver destroyed the trade deadline and free agency so that he could get paid by the Emirates to put badges on his refs. That's where his thinking is. Money and gambling. Gamblers and money. Gambling and foreign money, folks, not just the Emirates, China too. A lot of this stuff happened when China was insulted when Maury took out that tweet, right? That's the concern with this league now. They're concerned about nonsense. They're not concerned about the league. How do we get more money in here? You know why? Because no one's watching, right? Except for gamblers and maybe people offshore that would put money in it. That's their new master. New master is gamblers and global money. You can go talk to the PGA. As soon as Tiger Woods started eating dirt, as soon as Tiger Woods was gone, that whole organization went, now they got to go find money somewhere else because no one here was paying any money for it. Just look at it. Look, it's very easy to notice it, guys.
LIV, I saw it.
Yeah. Very easy to notice. And now everything's turning into soccer, by the way. Have you noticed that? Things are starting to turn into soccer. If you don't believe me, it's coming. Now we're going to see badges everywhere. You're going to see tattoos. Watch, you're going to see tattoos from players. It's going to say STP. It's going to say Coca-Cola. But these guys are about standing up. They're about standing up. I stand for this. 4,000 miles away. I'm standing. I'm going to stand. Here, I'm standing right now. I'm going to look outside. There you go. I'm standing in a nice neighborhood. No problems outside. I could stand all day. Why don't you go stand where those guys are getting the money from? Go stand over there and go stand. See what happens.
I do want to mention that the trade with David Roddy
stand.
in the three-way.
I'm gonna take a shot for everyone. Here, NBA sponsored Hennessy. That's what they stand for.
The three-way deal with Phoenix and Brooklyn and Memphis with Royce O'Neal and David Roddy, I mentioned earlier, also including the deal. Memphis, they're getting Yuta Watanabe, also as well, Keita Bates-Diop, Jordan Goodwin, and Chimeze Mito. So
good job, G.
Metu, yeah.
Metu, yes, Metu. Metu. But
yes, Metu.
Yeah, well, he's on the way to looks like Memphis Grizzlies. So, yeah. So what happens though, Z, when you have all those minimum contracts, you just bundle them up. You just bundle up because you really don't have much in the way to go ahead and just do a one-for-one deal with all those minimum contracts. You're kind of bound with the 3-star players that you have. And again, it makes it a lot harder to work around the fringes, but the Phoenix Suns are at least trying to do it. Do we see anything in the last hour from Rob? Here's Z before we continue. Anything in the last hour from Rob?
Unless Atlanta changed their mind, I don't think that they're gonna move D'Lo. I think that based on his play, he's needed if they don't get that point guard. But again, I'm actually chatting with the chat about if LeBron walks, what's going to be who is the Lakers going to sign? I'm sorry, but there's no one. There's no big names that is going available next season because OG is going to sign with the Knicks and Shakam is actually going to sign with the Pacers. Most of them were already traded. They're gonna stick with their team. And what's harder in the off season, as we've seen the past 2 seasons, is that when there's a super max contract out there, they're not gonna leave that team anymore. They're gonna sign and they're gonna be traded if they want to be traded, but that's it. There's no free agency anymore. And that's what the Cavs and the chat with the Cavs is that Donovan Mitchell's going to be traded if he doesn't want to stay there. Because I think is Donovan did he get oh he's not he's only a max. He didn't get the super max because he wasn't an all NBA, unlike Brown. That's it. That's if the player is not all NBA, that's the only one because they're not gonna be eligible for the supermax. But that's why the big stars are not gonna leave that much money on the table. That's what they did. They shrunk the the trade season and the off season for to have parity. That's what the league wanted, and they're getting it. But at least the smart front offices will do something in the margin, including not letting go of your expiring contracts. Stick with it. Stick with the first cap. Do not go to the second, but stick with the first cap and have more flexibility. And that's where the Lakers doesn't want to be. They want to be below the tax so that they won't pay repeaters. That's what it is.
Something I had warned you and everybody else out there for quite some time, just to be careful of and be wary of. And, as of now, we're seeing that take place. But Stone, let me bring it back
Yeah,
to you.
we talk about that, Gerald, right? Last
Been talking about
when
that for weeks.
during the off for the no in the off season
Oh, in
when
the off
they
season, yes.
when they use their biannual because that was why the Prince contract was the reason why they are on the hard cap, not on the first cap, the hard cap. So when they did that, that triggered the hard cap, but they let go of Beasley and Mo first because there's an expiring date on that decision. They let him go because of Bruce Brown, but I think they already know that someone's gonna offer Bruce that salary so that they can trade him again. That's what the Pacers did. So yeah, they make it they always make it harder for themselves, honestly.
Stone, let me bring it back to you. ESPN's Dave McMenamin also shedding light a little bit on what the Lakers have and have not been doing. As I also retweeted out there at Lakers Fast Break, a shot of the covered tent where the ceremony has taken place for the statue unveiling for Kobe. Dave McMenamin has said that the Lakers have not even come close to finding a trade as of yet. This doesn't surprise me, but it surprised many of our followers and fans wanting some activity for the Lakers to try and build the team now. But with 1 hour to go until the trade deadline, according to Dave McMenamin, he's hearing that there's been nothing close to a deal so far for the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, when it's getting reported all over like that, it's done. Lakers will not be making a move. Like I said, I mean, I'm not going to harp on it over and over. The Lakers are just making a mistake. Even if D'Lo doesn't leave, it's a mistake because it's the thought process that matters. They're not thinking in terms of that way. Obviously, they think that they don't even think of it as like it's a chance, and it is a chance, and that's the problem. And so you're taking that chance and taking that risk when you could have taken a safe play by getting an asset in return. So it's just stupid logic. I think that we're not making any moves, and it's going to reflect in our record. We're going to continue to stay mediocre for the rest of the season. And, maybe we make the play-in. Maybe.
Joe, I just conversated just a few minutes ago with Laker Tom. I asked him, are you going to join us on the show today? And his answer was, he's still in the process of moving 44 years of stuff. I think that is probably a wise decision, because 2 years ago, when the Lakers were inactive at the trade deadline, I thought he was really going to have a coronary on the air, and I was really worried about his health.
Yeah, at this
So
point,
maybe it's a good thing.
Well, at this point, I think Laker Tom is making excuses.
Okay.
I'm not showing up. Plus, I don't think he wants to be around guys like Stone and I.
Okay.
Tom seems to like positivity and fantasy a lot, which most people do. I'm not harping on him. In the end, and this is to each his own, being in real time, that's kind of the term I use. When you're in real time, you're focused on real time at the moment. You don't worry about distractions. Real time, people don't live in real time. They think about the consequences. Jordan talked about this. He's like, why would I think about a shot I haven't taken yet? What the hell would I do that for? And why am I going to be afraid if I miss it or not? I'm going to give it a shot, and if I make it, I make it. Some people can't handle the aftermath when it doesn't work. And by the way, Jordan missed more than he made, which is the hilarious part about that. Most guys like that you always miss more than you make. And you're not going to win a championship every year. It's not realistic. But our negativity, I'm putting the rabbit ears there for the audio people. The negativity here is, what has happened today? What have we said that's negative? We told you this was going to happen. And even when we do say stuff positive, I regret it. Oh, you know what? Maybe I was hard on Jeannie and Rob. Shucks. I did. I wilted earlier in the year. I was like, you know what? Maybe Jeannie can do this. And then I get off air and I'm like, what the hell did I just do? And, Sean was grimacing when I said that too. He'd grimace when I backtracked. He knew. Sean Grice knew. He's like, dude, the hell you doing? Why are you backtracking on what's going on? What is it? What is it in the end? In the end, it's we just have to say what we see. It's all we're doing. It's all what. So Stone's talking about, you're gonna lose D'Angelo. We just talked about Bruce Brown playing out of his mind last year, and it just so happened to coincide with the fact that Denver won it all. So he's able to show his contract play even more and longer, and it resulted into a title. And these GMs, Pritchard, you would think Pritchard was a smart guy. Well, he is. He used him to get Siakam. So in a way, that's kind of how you got to think in the NBA. So it wasn't a bad deal. But that's, I guess, how you have to navigate in the NBA now. You overpay for marginal players to try and see if you can leverage them later. And based off what Stone just said, the Lakers aren't doing that. The Lakers are still living off their prestige. And they got what I call the Jerry Jones result. You guys, this is going to blow your mind. It's going to make sense. Right after this, you guys are all going to understand finally. You ready? You know what the 2020 title did? It did exactly what the 1995 Super Bowl did for Jerry Jones. It told him, ooh, maybe it is me because I didn't have the other guy there. 29 years later, what are we looking at? And for the Lakers, if LeBron and James doesn't come in 2018, how many losing seasons would the Lakers have right now? Would they not be the Knicks between 2000 and 2010? Very likely, because they were worse, actually. Why? Because they adopted the loser mentality. Oh, we're going to lose and get better draft picks. And with all due respect to Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, D'Angelo Russell, sure, some of them are all-stars. Sure, some of them are pretty good players. But none of those son of a guns are going to take you to a title, even if they were all together. That's with Josh Hart and Larry Nance Jr. and Jordan Clarkson and Alex Caruso off the scrap heap and Austin Reeves off the scrap heap. For you to win, you look at the past 10 years, who were the stars? Jokic, MVP. Giannis, MVP. Steph, MVP. LeBron, MVP. It's all MVPs, guys. It's all MVPs that are winning these titles. Now, Kawhi was the exception, but that's only because half the team got injured in Golden State at the right time. And Kawhi Leonard is a two-time Finals MVP and a two-time Defensive Player of the Year. It's not like he's, crap. You need the star 99% of the time to win championships. Secondary players don't make it work. It's a lot to take in, folks. It's a lot of working parts here, but you don't do yourself any favors when you don't play the game the right way. And right now, Rob Pelinka, since 2021, that summer, has not been playing the game very well. He did what he did last year. They got to the Western Conference Finals, but I have to end it like I always end it. We don't go to the conference finals and get swept. Usually we win in the conference finals. We got our ass whooped. And we can't afford to get our asses whooped when you have AD and LeBron on your team. It's just unfair. I know it's not fair, but it's the truth. They have to win championships for this to make sense. Otherwise, you got to blow it up. Is that hard to understand, folks? If you're not going to win with these guys, then what are you doing? Hoping something falls from the sky? Or do you want to stand again? Here, let's stand. Hold on. Let's stand. There we go. I'm standing. I'm standing for something, folks. In my nice house, with my nice neighborhood. It's very easy to stand when you're safe. Stand in front of what you believe in. If you really got the balls to stand.
And on that note, it is the Lakers fast break.
I get too preachy here, man. I'm trying to, put a little levity on this.
You are. No, you're doing your Joeisms. People are watching. People are listening. People are commenting on it. So, yeah, just
Did anyone watch the D'Lo AD interview? Did any of you watch that
the D'Lo AD what?
interview? The interview. D'Lo interviewed AD on his house.
No.
The Backyard Podcast. Oh, none of you watched that? You need to watch it because AD there. This is a dig on the coach, honestly. Because someone reminded me, Eduardo said Darvingham impression, and it reminded me of what AD said. He said that on the defense they're so small. He said on that interview. Honestly, he said that without being prompted, because they're talking about AD's defense, how he was able to defend both the guard and the roller. So that's their discussion, and AD said there that, look, I don't need help. The pick and roll needs to be 2-on-2. The other should not help, which what they've been doing. It's like a wink, wink. That's what they've been doing. and it doesn't work because you need to stay on the shooters instead of leaving them and helping him. He said that they're too small and that they need to play big. That's what he said on that interview. That's what I was shocked because it was like a dig on the coach that they're not doing it because he said that you need I just need the trust. I need to be trusted to do these things and to be trusted to make the read on the defense and say to my teammates what are they gonna do, this and that. And I was shocked that he said it. No, I don't think anyone on Twitter actually hinted on that, but he said it.
Well, Stone, let me bring it back to you. And once again, it's our NBA trade deadline coverage. Has not been the whirlwind of activity I know many were hoping for the Los Angeles Lakers, but there is still 42 minutes left in our presentation here. Might wrap it up early if we don't get much, word from the Los Angeles Lakers. But Stone, I think we're reading it as far as the audience, we're reading as far as the fan base. I'm seeing it online and social media. The sadness, the disappointment in the words that are being said as far as out there in regards to the Lakers' inactivity this trade deadline.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, maybe it's finally setting in that the Lakers, they're coming to the realization that the Lakers have no chance. And they were never going to have a chance, but I think a lot of people still held out hope after this deadline that they might. And I think that realization is setting in for a lot of people. And now they're realizing that we are going to probably not make the playoffs. So, yeah, and I don't know. I mean, like I said, nothing we did would have mattered in terms of us winning further this year, but it doesn't, to me, make sense to just let the opportunity of your asset walk out the door. And to me, I know people are going to agree or disagree with this, which is fine. It's, however you want to perceive it. But LeBron, to me, very clearly sent his passive aggressive ways to the Lakers that he wants this team to be better. The Lakers did nothing. And I think we're now, I think this puts more pressure on the Lakers headed into the summer, that I think whatever little percentage I had of LeBron leaving in the summer is up probably by another 10-15% after doing nothing at the deadline. I think they are ignoring what he wants, and for better or worse, however you want to perceive that, I think a GM should GM, regardless of what the players want. But I think regardless, that means that it's just one little extra thing to nudge LeBron closer to, declining that option. So we'll see what happens. But I think all in all, the Lakers are, whether you agree with, these scenarios happening or not, I think the logic of it still exists, and the logic of it is being ignored by the Lakers.
So, Joe, I bring it back to you, my friend. And once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It's our NBA trade deadline coverage. No activity or movement since Daniel House has been waived by Detroit. Again, I see no stars being traded. This is something that was alluded to and hinted on, that there was going to be no big names this time around. No Kevin Durant's, no Kyrie Irving's, no big names being moved back and forth this time around. When the biggest name is Gordon Hayward, Buddy Hield, it just does not have the same je ne sais quoi this time around, my friend.
The combination of the tournament, the combination of the play-in, the combination of the fact that there's been grumblings by owners from the small market teams complaining about their players going to big market places. This is Adam Silver has succumbed to the owners who are irrelevant to the NBA. And it's creating a mediocrity that the NBA hadn't had before. That's kind of where we're going here. So you're looking at, let's look at the standings here. You have 15 teams in each conference. At this moment, all but 3 in the East have a shot at being in the playoffs. Toronto, Brooklyn are both like 3-4 games away from getting the 10th seed. Then you have Atlanta, then you have Chicago, you have Miami, and you have and the Magic. And then you have Indiana in the 6th spot. So I want you to look at that. 12 teams that are in the hunt to play in the playoffs. So those teams are going to try to stay competitive. They're going to try to stay competitive at that point to try to make the playoffs. Then you look at the West. The West, you have almost exact same setup. Houston and the Warriors are just outside the 10th seed. You have Utah, the Lakers, Dallas, Sacramento, and then the Pelicans are in the 6th. So when you look at those teams and you look at the transactions today, you've noticed that most of the teams that have done stuff are in that I want to maintain the top seed pick or try to see if I can still get in to the play-in. So now you're not getting a lot of activity because the lesser teams that normally would be out are going to want. I mean, I want you guys to really think about this for a second. If this is back to where it used to be, where it's just the top 8 make it, you're probably not looking at Houston or Golden State as a team that's probably going to get up there. Granted, it's still 2.5 games from the 11th to the 8th, but with the mediocrity of the NBA today, no one really goes on long winning streaks anymore. It's always win 2, win 3, lose 1, win 3, lose 1, win 3, lose 2, win 5, lose 2. There's not any dominance. There isn't even, heck, even in the 2000s, you had teams that were winning. Like the West was winning all the East games. You had 50-win teams in the 8th spot because of the East being so bad. And of course the bottom half of that conference being as bad as it was. So now we're getting a little bit of an evening out here, and the mediocrity of when you try to, how do I say this without being pretentious?
Yeah, just go ahead and say it.
Okay. When you want everyone to make it, when everyone needs to hold each other's hands and get a prize, you get shit. Everyone becomes average because you're trying to make everyone else catch up. I was asked again, who do you got for the Super Bowl? And it kills me to say this because I have a lot of friends that are San Francisco fans, and I want them to win for them. But for me, I want Patrick Mahomes to win. I have a second reason why that materialized within the last few months. Number one, the reason why I want Patrick Mahomes to win is because I want to see greatness. And he embodies greatness. He wins a 3rd Super Bowl in his 7th year starting. That's greatness. I want to see greatness. I don't want to see mediocrity. I don't want to see any team make it to the World Series. That's to me, we have a chance. No, you don't have a chance. You suck. And you should stay suck unless you can make yourself play better. That's my philosophy. That's how my brain works. The second reason why I want Patrick Mahomes to win is because I don't like this when you see people keep winning and then all of a sudden you change your mind and want them to lose. That tells me a lot about who you are. That tells me that you're a loser, that you're mad that somebody else is winning a lot because you're not winning. And more often than not, those assholes are doing nothing to try to win. They're waiting for someone to give it to them.
Joe's getting a little testier the closer we get to the trade.
Well, it's important to talk about it because it makes sense for what we're talking about right now.
It does.
It does. It makes sense. All those years that I crack on Greg Popovich because he's supposed to be this messiah of coaches. He's this messiah of a man. Steve Kerr, messiahs of their industry. They won. So now they have a forum to tell everyone how they should be able to win. When anytime a little inconvenience happens, they're the first ones to open their pie holes. When someone else betters them, they get angry. That's a definition of a coward to me. You had Tim Duncan fall in your lap because you decided to take a shot. And then Steve Kerr, because Mark Jackson's extracurricular activities didn't coincide to today's NBA as well as the Golden State Warrior organization, you fall in line with sitting with one of the best GMs in the NBA and three of the closest players we've ever seen on a team with talent. And one of the most unselfish superstars we've ever seen. Something that no one ever says about Steph Curry. Steph Curry's greatest asset after his three-point shot is his unselfishness. The fact that he was open arms with Kevin Durant. The fact that he never let Klay Thompson feel marginalized. The fact that they had to put up with that jackass, Draymond Green. Those things is why whenever I hear discussions of Steph Curry being one of the greats, those are the things I think about. Now, he's not the greatest point guard of all time because I don't consider him a point guard. But let's just say he is. Let's just say he is for discussion purposes. He's still not better than Magic. No one's better than Magic. Magic's the greatest team basketball. Magic's the greatest athlete that ever lived in terms of team basketball, team sports. No one will ever touch Magic. You don't believe me? Go look at his usage rate. Just go look at it. And spare me he had Kareem, Worthy, Bob McAdoo, Jamal Wilkes. Guys, there was 26 teams at that time. And I think when he got in the league it was less. Okay, everyone was stacked that was going to the finals. Everyone. Okay, you had the Sixers, you had the Celtics. They're all stacked. Freaking Celtics had 5 Hall of Famers on their team. Sixers had Moses Malone, Dr. J, Andrew Toney, Mo Cheeks. Everybody was stacked in the 80s, so that you can't use that excuse. So, what are we here for? What are we complaining about? What are we whining about as Laker fans? We keep having to say this. We want greatness. I want greatness. I want number 18. I don't care about your team. So I'm going to come out and say what I'm saying. And when you're an organization like the Lakers, you're supposed to be the standard in your sport, in the world, not in the NBA. You hear that, Greg Popovich? In the world. The NBA league is the world league. That's where the best players play. That's why it's the world championship. World's best league. That's why it's a world championship. So if you want to go kiss Barcelona's ass in Europe, go move to Barcelona then. Tell me what team in Barcelona or Madrid is going to beat any team in the NBA if they're really playing for something. This is the part. This is the stuff that unfortunately there's no kickback because it's got to be some weasel online arguing about something that's insignificant. Like, why did LeBron go eat pizza instead of a hamburger? Like stupid garbage like that. How about more discussions about why you don't talk or retort to things like that? Because I think the discussions would be more eloquent at that point. Why would you say this? Why would you do that? That to me would be more exciting to me. So as far as the Lakers are concerned at this point, everything is being pushed to the summer. Now apparently we're going to get Donovan Mitchell. We don't know what LeBron's going to do. Really? We don't know what LeBron's going to do? Okay. He's going to turn down $51 million. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. The real question is, what's AD going to do? Now, he's been kind of coasting, but Z brought something up to my attention here. Maybe AD's finally getting a little irritated with what's going on. maybe he might have to start saying some things because, hey, man, AD needs to start being looked at now. He's the 30-year-old superstar. He's not 39. AD's got some years left. If I had to make the call, I sit down with LeBron and give him two options. Number one, we'll give you one more year because you're LeBron. We got you under contract for one more year. As long as you take this, we'll try to do our best this summer to go one more year to get this done. But after 2025, we got to go another way. We committed to the contract. We'll roll with it. To me, I'll understand that as a fan. The second option for LeBron James, who do you want to go to that would pick up your contract or extend you or whatever? We'll honor that. We'll figure that out. And then the Lakers can finally start looking into building the next thing. What other options do we have? We're going to go get Bruce Brown, Drummond. They're the saviors for 2024. What kind of dope are you on? I've had a couple shots here. I'm still thinking right, even with those names. And I'd still think that way if I had 10 of these. Pressure needs to be on Rob and Jeannie enough to the point where, are you going to stop watching? We know we can't. We have a show to do. But is the everyday fan going to stop watching? Is the numbers going to go down? That's the great confusion here in all this. We can't. We're gonna lose either way because they're still gonna find money somewhere. Whether they go to the Emirates, whether they go to China, whether they have the gamblers get more of the piece of the pie, the DraftKings and all that. I told you guys this before. I have cousins who beg me to be a gambler, to bet. They're like, Joe, you know this stuff. You know what these guys are. You're in it. I said, I'm not gonna be a gambler because that's what's gonna eventually destroy the leagues at some point. There's gonna be a wall that this thing hits, and you see some of it just happen with these guys getting caught gambling and all that stuff. Maybe it might not. Maybe it just turns into wrestling. Maybe it just turns into pro wrestling in the end, and it doesn't matter. That might be it too, because that happened. G, I'm sure you know the history of wrestling. They tried to do real wrestling, and then they changed it years ago. This was decades ago. They're like, this isn't good enough. We might as well just tell them in a nice way at that time that it's real, but they'll probably be able to figure it out.
Also here today, good man indeed. He is the guy behind Courtside Lakers and also as well does a great job whenever he's on playback and also this show as well. It is Henry Hill from Courtside Lakers. Henry, great to have you here. I know I want to thank you for reporting firsthand at Disneyland on the reports that Rob Pelinka might be there in preparation for the NBA trade deadline. We were just kidding about that, folks. It's actually an old picture that he showed us, but still, Henry, great to have you here, my friend. It might as well be that he was at Disneyland because he sure as hell hasn't done much before the NBA trade deadline with 25 minutes left, Henry.
Yes, per sources, me and Rob Pelinka are in line right now for Space Mountain. He told me once he's done with the ride, he's going to try to call and make some trades.
Per sources. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good.
No, seriously. Well, me and Gerald, we've been talking about this for a while that we don't expect them to make any big moves or anything like that. But I would say I'm pretty surprised if within the next 30 minutes or so, they didn't do anything to send out some second rounders with like a Christian Wood or something to get under the repeater tax. Just being realistic about the situation, to be honest. I think it would be good for them to just reset the repeater tax. I don't care about the big fish hunting in the off season, all that stuff. I don't care. LeBron's going to be 40 years old. So I'm just going to take today as what it is. I'm going to enjoy the Kobe statue. I just want to drop in, say hi. There's a commenter that said the LeBron era in LA was not a success. So I had to drop in and say they won a championship. That's all.
Agreed, Henry. I mean, how can you say it's a failure if you won a championship? So it doesn't matter how many playoffs or non-playoffs he's made. He won a championship, and you've got to go ahead and say it's the trade for AD was a success. the trade, getting LeBron in free agency was a success. So, Henry, I appreciate you stopping by as always. But Henry, are you kind of upset before we get it over to Z? Are you kind of upset that the Lakers have done nothing and it looks like they may not do much before the trade deadline?
I mean, sure, if I'm upset in the sense of that, like it's interesting and exciting when your team makes trades. You get to see a new player perhaps or different, like how that new player can fit in and whatever. So, I mean, if you're asking in that sense, sure, I'm a little bit upset. But to be honest, the realistic approach, not really upset. It was kind of like hinting to this for weeks and weeks, all the reports coming out that it wasn't going to really be anything crazy. And with the play-in, the tournament, and all that stuff, just not too many people are selling off on the people that they have. Like, for example, Chicago Bulls, I have no idea what that organization is doing, but they're not going to sell their players, you know? But I'm actually very surprised the teams are improving a lot. Like, I think the winners of the trade so far has been the Knicks and how they loaded up. But overall, I just like hanging out with you guys. So how can I be upset?
There you go. That's the spirit indeed. Once again, this is the Lakers Fast Break. Yes, Joe is like getting all misty-eyed right now.
Oh, by the way, Rodell, if you're watching this, brother, like I told you, hit me up anytime. We can go to a bar, talk about it. I know you have differing opinions on what I think, so I think it'd be interesting to meet up.
And Rodell, I don't want to go to a bar with you, just for the record.
Rodell has a lot of different opinions.
I'd rather go to a boxing match.
Well, you know what? He said he might try to hop on. I said, just let us know when you're available.
No one ever hops on. Come on.
He said he would.
We've been doing this how long? How many invitations have we given to people who...
You got one. You got one.
Who?
Oh gosh, what's his name?
Exactly. There you go. You just proved my point.
One. I could... one.
Ooh.
Z, let me get it to you while I look that up. But yeah, Z, obviously you're not very happy with what the Lakers have done. All the moves, all the things that both you, Laker Tom, Isabel, a lot of other people out there have tried to plan out for the Lakers as far as the changes made. Unfortunately, as of now, do not look like they're coming to fruition, Z.
It's not that I'm not happy. I mean, I'm not disappointed maybe, but it's also expected, right? So, but I was just, for example, what are their second rounders next season? This off season? To 2024, am I right on that?
Yeah.
2 picks for this coming 2024 draft. What are you gonna do with that? That's the thing. It's just the margins. What are you gonna do with that? You're not gonna play those players. So you're just wasting assets at the same time that you're not doing anything. Because no one's gonna trade for those picks anyway, right? No one's gonna trade for those picks because they're like, it's like what do you call that? Moving the goalpost. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I was gonna say the second round.
We're gonna get Donovan Mitchell, who's having the time of his life in the Cavaliers. They have potentially I think they can be a third or fourth in the East. So that's good for them. So I'm not sure if Donovan is even going to be free next season. They're just gonna let him walk instead of trading him.
That's a good point. See, that's the stuff that's mind-boggling. Like,
right? I mean,
Cleveland is a second seed. What do you mean they're gonna get rid of Donovan Mitchell? Like,
he's playing like an MVP candidate.
Jeez, like where does this thinking come from?
I wasn't expecting anything big, but I just want to make sure because last season we saw that Pelinka did this and did that. Are they gonna change Have they learned their lesson, or? But apparently not, because they're not using their assets wisely. And that's the only thing that I wanted them to do. Just do something in the margins, show that you're smart enough, that you know the players in the league, what they can do, like PJ Washington, um, Alec Burks, those players that you can get for 2 second rounders, you did nothing.
You just wanted
That's only the point. Even Dennis Smith Jr., even this, just think of this. Christian Wood, whom you're not playing, well, he's a minimum, right? Dennis Smith Jr. is just worth what? 2 million. So you can just use Christian Wood for Dennis Smith Jr. and then you use 1 second rounder. That's it. That's those simple marginal stuff, but they're not showing that they are able to do that in this cheap market. You see how cheap it is that you can use second rounders to get at least a player that can play for you when Vando is out, Gabe is out, Cam is out. Three of your potential rotation players are out.
I have a
That's
question
it.
for you guys. I have a question. Do you think, and this for everyone, Z, Stone, Gerald, everyone, do you think that there is a Lakers tax, or is it more incompetence from Pelinka?
Incompetence.
Because I see
incompetence.
Royce O'Neal go for 3 second rounders.
I think it's incompetence, but I know.
I think that's too much, honestly, for Royce O'Neal.
Well, they were asking for a first up until leading into the trade deadline. But
Lakers, it doesn't. This whole notion of a Lakers tax or rivalry tax or whatever is kind of dumb in my opinion, because teams are going to do what's best for them. They don't care about the team they're trading with. They're going to do what benefits the team most. And if that means the Lakers have the best offer for them, then they'll trade with the Lakers. If they don't, then they won't.
yeah, I think those days of grudges and all that, I think it's now about business more than it is grudges or things like that from the past.
The thing is, for the people that are hoping for some superstar in the summer, even if they're available, let's say Trae Young and Donovan Mitchell both hit the market. We don't have enough. We don't have enough to get them. I mean, 3 firsts, and even let's say D'Angelo stays. D'Angelo, Reeves, and 3 firsts. Is that enough? No. If we can't even, move a first in D'Lo for DeJounte, why would Reeves and 2 more firsts be enough? We don't have what it takes to get a superstar, even if that's what people think. And that's the plan headed into the summer.
You're also assuming D'Lo stays.
That's exactly.
That's bad asset management.
Yep, that's why you should have traded him. So if he's gone, then now what? You have Reeves and 3 firsts. What? You don't even have the salary to get a player that you want. Touch Rui. That's still only 25 million. Most of these guys are 35 plus. You don't have the salary to get these guys. You don't have the assets to get them. They don't provide enough on-court value. You don't have enough picks to attach. 3 firsts is not enough nowadays if you're not putting enough on-court value in there. So there is no long-term answer either. This is going to continue on for multiple years now, where if we don't have an answer to turn this ship around, and it's going to keep sailing in the wrong direction for way past this summer that's coming up.
Wait, Gerald, I have a question.
Yeah.
For Stone, and you can answer too. So you're saying that if Pelinka doesn't have a good relationship with any GM from any team, that really doesn't matter, right? Because the other team would realistically just care if they makes their team better. Correct?
I think for the most part. Obviously there's exceptions here and there. Maybe, he said something bad to one GM one time and they don't do business as much. But I think, for the most part, a team's going to do what is best for their team.
I agree. And the whole notion of keeping this first round pick to trade it, draft it, whatever. Guys, they drafted JHS with a first round pick. So what are we doing?
Yeah, right.
What are we doing here?
I don't trust them. do we even trust them to draft anyone that is going to be a star? Because I think there's a difference between luck and drafting smartly, right? Austin Reeves is not drafted. He he was an undrafted free agent. His agent dealt with the Lakers to get him. It was more about connections rather than stumbling upon him. For Caruso, who's I think people forget, Caruso played for the OKC G League team before going to the Lakers G League team. And that's where they saw his potential to be a defender. It wasn't that they drafted him. On their drafts, they drafted D'Angelo Russell for second round pick, then letting him go for pennies. They they let go of their young. They let Randall go for nothing as well. So do we even trust them that they're gonna develop these guys, or that these guys are already developed before going to the Lakers? There's a difference.
That's true. I agree. Yeah. I mean, we don't know. The draft is a crapshoot at the end of the day. So
I
there
want to
is
go
luck
ahead.
involved.
I want to go ahead and mention something that Leonard said in the chat in the Facebook. Thanks, appreciate Leonard. Also as well, Flamingo. Got to get you here in a second. But Leonard said it's obvious here in LA, the Lakers. It's ran by family, isn't Showtime anymore. Like Kobe late in his career, now LeBron. Since Dr. Jerry Buss, the Lakers have turned into profit instead of winning championships. Dr. Buss here in Los Angeles always spent and bought Showtime with. One Flamingo said never should have traded for AD. We had Ingram, Ball, Randall, Hart, and Zubats. We should have stood pat until AD was a free agent. We have all the
No,
players.
you already
Dumb
won a
match complete.
championship. We already won a championship
By
with
the way,
AD. That's
Woj
worth
said
it. The
that
one
they're
that's not
keeping
worth
Murray.
it is Subac.
Woj
Think
just
about
tweeted
think
that they're
about where
keeping
the
Murray. Just FYI.
the Hawks are keeping
Zubac is
Murray.
Zubac is not Zubac is not even included in that trade. He wasn't traded because of AD.
He,
It was Magic who
Magic
traded
traded
him
him
for
for Muscala.
Muscala
Yes.
for nothing. Again, for nothing. Man,
Yes.
Wait,
that's
wasn't that trade to
don't
clear cap space to sign LeBron?
no. It
No.
was Randall. It was Randall.
Yeah.
They let go of Randall. They didn't give him an extension,
They
which
traded.
is actually a rookie extension for
They,
Randall. They didn't give it to him to have the cap space. That's
they
what
traded for
happened.
Muscala because they thought having a stretch five would better fit their
No,
offense
no,
than Zubats.
no, but that was when LeBron was already in the Lakers.
Yeah,
That was
but
when
yeah,
LeBron was already there.
Magic was the one that made the trade, but Rob was in the room. Rob was in the
Yeah,
room.
Rob was the GM, and this is the funny. I think the chat should know this, that Rob is both the vice president and the GM. He doesn't have the Magic and with Palinka way of relationship. He's the only one who's doing all the decisions. And according to, I've listened to Anthony's pod one time
I'm
because
sorry.
he has good. I've listened to Anthony Irwin's. I've heard
Again, I'm
him
sorry.
said, sorry, sorry, Gerald.
No, I'm
But
sorry. I feel sorry
but
for you for having your time wasted like that, but okay.
no, it was just because he has something to say there because he was critiquing this league as well. He said there that this is gonna shock you. Darvin Ham is with Pelinka making these decisions. Darvin Ham.
Yeah, I mean, think
Um,
about
that-
what the
Oh,
Bulls have accomplished in the past 10, 15 years.
Milwaukee Bucks have traded Lopez to the Sacramento Kings. Oh, it's Robin Lopez.
Yeah.
So
Oh no
Think
way!
about
No way!
think about what
Robin
the
Lopez should go
What?
to the WWE.
No.
think about how much the
Yeah,
Bulls have
yeah.
accomplished the past 10, 15 years. That's where the Lakers are now going towards, and how much we're going to accomplish over that a period of time too.
somebody. I was
We're
gonna-
managed so poorly, and ownership is so poor that we're headed towards that same route of barely making the playoffs every year. That's what we're going to be for the next decade. So this is just the start of it. This isn't going to be something that flips around next year because we get a superstar, because we don't have the assets for it. So we're headed down this road, and there's no way to turn it around.
So how does Anthony Davis feel if you're Anthony Davis right now?
I mean,
That they won't.
I'd request a trade if I was him. And there's you're not going to win here. So, I mean, he's not going to request a trade. I would highly doubt. But if I were him, I'd want to win, and you're not going to get that here. So
I was going to say though that I think the Milwaukee Bucks are no longer have Orlando or LA on their schedule, so maybe they trade away Robin to go ahead and just take care of that. So now the Lopez brothers can't go to Disneyland.
I think that's the comment of the day right there by Alan. Lakers in the trade deadline is like ham with timeouts.
Just don't want to use it.
Yeah.
But it's getting down close to it. 8 minutes left in the deadline. We're looking more and more like we don't need to spend an extra hour on the line wallowing in whatever pity that we have right now for what's going on with the Lakers trade deadline. But Joe, I'll bring it back to you again. No stars are being traded. Even high-end role players such as DeJounte Murray, starters per se, I'll say that, are not even being traded.
Gerald, wait. Elaine just reminded me of this with the Gabe Vincent signing. When will the Lakers learn their lesson not to get anyone from the Heat or Boston or the Bulls? When? When are they gonna stop getting any of those players? Because this is the second time that a Heat player is injured. For the Bulls, it was the Luol Deng. Luol Deng was already old and he has played too much and is injury prone. Yet the Lakers still gave him his last max contract.
So Joe, when it comes right down to it, 6 minutes left. Does look like it's going to be a very uneventful trade deadline for the Lakers. I mean, if you watch this, I could just see if somebody's just watching this after we've already aired it and just seeing our faces throughout the entire 2-hour spectrum go by, Joe. I can't say I cannot say they would enjoy it to the maximum, because outside of your rants and Stone's info and Z's info and Henry's thoughts as well, it's just not been very much of a slam dunk, pardon the pun, for the Lakers this trade deadline.
I think in the future here, in the near future, you're going to see more viewers once they figure out that we know what the hell we're talking about. As much as the truth hurts, at some point when you run out of bull crap, all these shows that have DeJounte Murray going to the Lakers, Donovan Mitchell, is he an option? At some point, the people who view those shows are probably going to go, you know what, does this guy really know what he's talking about? Or he's just trying to get me to watch his show? They're going to come here because they're going to get real info. I didn't go all in yesterday that they would do zero, just because, it could have been a shot where they got somebody for a couple of second-round picks. But deep down, I did say there's more likelihood that they'll do squat than they will do something. And that's obviously what's about to happen here in 4 minutes. And that's, I think, important to understand, that this league isn't that hard to figure out, too, if you're in it. And this guy over here on my right, that technically on my right through the TV, spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of time that I would never have time to watch these guys play, and obviously knows the game very well. So we lean on him a lot on the realities of what's available and what isn't. And then, of course, we also observe and analyze, because that's what we're doing here. And I strongly agree. I strongly, advise you to listen. If you're looking for flowers and daisies and beautiful, birds of paradise type stuff, probably want to go somewhere else. Here, we're going to talk about what was likely to happen, which it just did. Rob Pelinka is not capable. He's not capable of really, really doing the things that need to be done to win championships.
So I ask Stone and because Joe and I already know the answer. How many of these other shows over the next few days are going to try and respin this into, hey, it was great by Rob Pelinka to stand pat at the trade deadline?
I couldn't tell you because I don't listen to them.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I don't really listen to a whole lot of other podcasts. But I think that some people are gonna say, oh, it's smart to stand pat. A lot of people just look at things on a very binary level. They don't layer it out like it should be. And I think that they don't realize we don't have enough assets. Even if these stars become available, we don't take into consideration the fact that D'Angelo has just as much a chance of walking away than he does staying. And we didn't play it safe and get someone beyond this summer by using him to trade for. So I think a lot of people just kind of look at it as either most people I think will be disappointed, being like, why didn't Pelinka just trade for so and so who makes us better? And then a lot of people are going to be like, oh, it's smart. We'll play the long game, and don't realize that there is no long game to play. So I think that it's not a very smart move, and I think people are not going to really understand the full scope of it, at least on the vast majority. Obviously, the Dinwiddie thing, Dinwiddie just got waived. People are going to be excited about. Another harsh reality is Dinwiddie sucks. He's
struggled hard this season.
He's only ever been a backup caliber player. He's shooting below 40% from the field, below 30% from three. We need someone that spaces the floor, especially if you're a guard. So I don't really understand why.
Also, I think he'll just go back to the Mavs where he had success anyways. So
yeah, I don't know why people would have much interest in him as a Lakers fan, but it's not pessimism, it's realism. But however you want to view it is up to you.
And the 76ers are trading Jaden Springer. It's so funny how if you remember Stone, because I remember you and I talking about him at one time about, as far as when he came up in the draft, he signed smartly a 4-year contract, I think right away. And even though he has never materialized as a player, he has had that 4-year contract onto, so he's bounced around from team to team to team, Stone, as Henry put in there, but he's had a 4-year contract that he latched onto. Remember we were talking about how Rob Pelinka would not sign players, second rounders coming out to extended contracts. Well, I guess maybe he took a look at Jaden Springer and thought maybe I can't make that same mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a good. Sorry, just real quick. It's kind of a good thing he didn't make that mistake because Christie would be taking up cap space unnecessarily for us for the next couple of years, doing nothing. So, I think in that sense it was good.
Okay, and looks like the Toronto Raptors are keeping Bruce Brown. Sources are telling ESPN.
That's unexpected, honestly.
And then the last deal I'm seeing is the Boston Celtics are trading Delano Banton to Portland for a heavily protected second-round pick, possibly like number 55 protected.
That's actually a good little pickup for the Blazers. I think he's a rotation player.
I think so too. I think he's good.
He had a promise in Toronto. He just fell flat in Boston. But yeah, Joe is like, screaming for joy because it looks like the Lakers, unless we see something in the next couple of minutes, have not traded for anything.
That's actually very surprising. They didn't even get under the luxury tax. I thought that's what they would do.
Well, I thought they were okay. So we're gonna have to get a clarification on it because I thought they were just barely under, Henry. That they were avoiding the repeater tax if they did stand
Maybe,
pat.
yeah, maybe we have to clarify. From
they
what I
are
saw,
they
they're
are 1.8
1.5 mil.
million above.
Yeah, I saw
They
that
are
one too.
1.8 million above.
Which
Okay.
would be
So
equivalent
they
to
need to
10
do
mil
something.
total in luxury tax if they didn't go down. But that's not my
So-
pockets.
They can
so-
still shed it, can't they? Waive?
We can waive, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
they
they
can waive.
cannot. No, they can because they
But
need to have
who can they
14
waive?
players. They need to have 14 players on the roster.
But we have, how many do we have right now?
14.
We only have 14.
Yeah.
So
Who can they waive though?
I'd think because the Lakers are so cheap, what they might do is waive, someone like Wood who's making a bit above the minimum, and then sign a minimum player, or sign a minimum player first, I guess, and then waive Wood.
I know people are asking to probably to waive Prince.
Yeah,
No,
that's
Prince
not going
is
to
the
happen.
reason why they got hard capped.
Prince
Because they signed up to the biannual.
and Prince is
See,
a
Eduardo's
ham
already
favorite.
saying it already.
Prince is a ham favorite, but would be the most likely to be waived just because he makes 2.7. They gave him a little bit of the remaining MLE, and I think it would be very Lakersy to sign someone who doesn't do anything and then waive Wood instead of having traded him at the deadline. But we'll see what happens.
But it looks like the Lakers have not made any moves leading into the trade deadline. I'm going to go take it up. We're going to close up shop earlier than the 1 p.m. stop
Is
time.
Laker Tom okay?
No,
Yeah.
Somebody's got to put out feelers in the San Francisco area for Laker Tom. Somebody said he's moving to Kuwait, but no, he's not moving to Kuwait. He's just moving somewhere. He's still moving, always
Does he already
moving.
have his trade proposal for the summer for Donovan Mitchell?
He must at this time. But I'm going to go around the horn for one last time before we head on out. So, Henry, I just want to start off with you first, my friend. Your thoughts, final thoughts for now, my friend, on what's going on with the Lakers. They're standing pat. Wasted all of our times. Should have told us sooner. Could have gotten some sleep.
Yeah, hold on. I'm here with Palinka at Disneyland. How come you didn't make any trades, brother? Yeah, he ran away. Sorry, guys.
That's funny. They'll probably pick up some of the buyout. That's probably true, SD. But yeah, we'll see. But again, it's about avoiding the tax might be of consideration as well. Z, great to have you, Henry, Stone Hansen, Joe here. But Z, any thoughts on a day of preparation that you made, a lot of notes that you made, a lot of things that you said over the past couple of days, unfortunately did not come to fruition today?
Yeah, I mean, again, we've expected this, that they won't do anything, but I didn't expect that they would do nothing. So it was just funny that they really didn't didn't even do a minimum to minimum trade or any of that sort. No, they just, okay, we can't get any players. We need to keep this picks, and that's it. And I've read that their picks are 2024 Clippers, second rounder, 2025 Clippers, and their second rounder, then 26 theirs, 27 theirs. That's their picks. So they are keeping even those that is not going to be useful to them, because 2024 is probably the weakest draft compared to 2025 and 2026. Yeah.
The last trade did come down to, I'm seeing the Golden State Warriors, even they made a trade that they're trading Corey Joseph to the Pacers. So assuming for some type of draft compensation. Let me go ahead and bring it over to Stone. Thanks so much, Henry, for stopping by. Truly appreciate it. Michael, truly appreciate always. And let me know. Give me an email when you can, my friend. LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com when you can stop back on by. Stone, your thoughts again. This has been a lackluster trade deadline. I feel bad for you, my friend. You took your time out of your day to be here. Joe, same thing. Z, same thing. Henry, same thing. But it was all for naught as the Lakers come up dry this trade deadline.
Yep, I kind of expected Murray all to be nonsense the whole time, but I did think that we might pursue someone else as a sort of a pseudo plan B. I was proven wrong there, so I mean, again, it wouldn't have mattered. We wouldn't have gone any further. So, yeah, it is what it is. I guess just get to keep watching mediocrity for the next several years.
And how not to? Looks like we were right and you were wrong. Joe, another hater in the group right there with how not to, feeling sad about himself once again because again we were right and he was wrong. Any last thoughts, my friend, before we head on out?
Who said what?
How not to? I'll read you the whole thing. The Lakers are standing pat. Huh? This isn't a championship team. Wonder who said that. You guys keep your overrated rants to yourselves and having fake expectations.
Where's this?
This is how not to. Yes, totally changing his storyline from a day ago when he was on the opposite end and then cursing us for saying that we had lowered expectation Lakers. So yes.
Did you remove the comment?
No, it's right there. Sit right there. I'll throw it up on screen. There you go.
My computer might be deflecting stupid, so maybe I'm not seeing it.
Well, it's pretty stupid right there.
Yeah.
Anytime he comes on, he really literally has something stupid to say. So stupid is as stupid does.
Yeah. It's just it's been a flaccid. It's been the word flaccid is a perfect description to what this trade deadline was, much like the free agency period last year and the one before it. Flaccid experiences. I would usually you can enjoy even if as a non-Laker fan. I'm sorry, even as a Laker fan, you would enjoy the deadline from just the activity and the excitement and seeing what's going on. But no. Most of the players want to stay where they're at to maximize their dollars, which is okay, cool. Good luck in Milwaukee, by the way, because things are going really bad over there, and I think they're going to continue to go bad. So enjoy your stuff over there. At some point, it's just going to be a bunch of players who have to demand to get out. And then they'll be called the entitled athlete and all that instead of just setting up a system where you allow the player to leave. You allow the player to make a decision on their own on whether they think that this team is going to work or not. But the small market teams are upset that, if we don't put super contracts, super deals, super maxes on the Giannis's and the Jaylen Browns, or I shouldn't say Jaylen Brown, it's Boston, but the New Orleans and the Milwaukee's and the Utahs, if we don't give these guys the incentive to stay there, then they're going to leave. Everybody wants to have their cake and eat it too, man. And one little thing happens, they want to change the whole script. It's just nauseating at this point. We can't just focus on the basics, like watching teams improve, watching teams play. We have to go through these scenarios of, well, is he going to reach the first apron? Is he going to reach the third apron? Are they going to reach the eighth apron one day? Can they trade this second round pick for this role player because he's got some kind of clause in his contract that says if you don't have someone that can give him a massage over there, then it can't go through. Like, Who created this? Who created these details? Agents? The NBA? Like, do we really need to go through all this to protect these owners from themselves for being complete and utter morons? Could have just kept it simple. If a guy's not happy playing in Milwaukee, just let him decide. You guys, all I hear about, hey, we want our players and we want people to feel like they have a say and we want them to have the freedom and we're going to stand for them. Yeah. Stand. Keep standing. More standing. You don't stand for shit except your own BS. I hate you all. I really do. I really do. These billionaires, and it's not because they're billionaires, it's because they're utter effing scumbag morons that lie to your face and do the exact opposite when it's convenient. And the people who are in charge of these leagues are bigger a-holes. Seriously, you all suck ass. You really do. And the anger comes from the fact that I had to sit here and talk about you. I love the Lakers so much and I love the show so much that I'm pigeonholed into this damn thing now. Because honestly, if it wasn't for Lakers Fast Break and our audience, guys, I got better things to do in my life. You have no idea how great my life is. And it sucks that I have to sit here and talk about the Spencer Dinwiddies and the Alex Caruso's. You know, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but this is, come on, really? This is my life?
Tell you what,
Yeah,
though.
but
Go ahead, Zeke.
that's the thing, Joe. That's the thing. It's kind of funny because the free agent, I think, is already dead compared before. It wasn't as big as when they let the stars choose where they want to go. Not to mention, not to mention, it was actually crazy because when the Lakers were trying to get AD, and AD said he wanted out with 1 year left on his contract, they crucified him for it. For what? I'm asking out so that you can get an asset for me. Isn't that the right thing to do? What AD did was the right thing to do. But the media crucified him for it, for asking to be traded when I'm actually allowing this team to get what they can by trading me. So that's the end of the free agency, honestly. Because now after that, oh we are gonna have a supermax. Everyone's gonna have a supermax. So that no one is gonna leave. So what's the free agency is for? For the mid-tier players. That's what it is now.
So, Stone, I'm going to close this out with you, my friend. I'm going to leave you with some thoughts here as Dave McMenamin. I almost think that Dave McMenamin has been listening to our show, Stone. Kind of heard these words many times in the past few days and weeks said by you, Joe, Jamie, and certainly me. The Lakers were active in seeking deals in the days leading up to the trade deadline and determined any feasible trade would be a marginal upgrade at too steep a cost. Now their options are to be aggressive in the buyout market, offering more money than most others from the saved portion of the MLE, and then hope Vincent and Vanderbilt can return to be impact players this season. After that, they'll have 3 first-round draft picks available in a trade come draft night to make a run at an all-star caliber player this summer. Wonder who's been saying that?
There is no all-star caliber player we can get. even if they are available, which we don't know if they will be. Anything McMenamin says, he's the PR person for the Lakers, so I don't necessarily buy that the Lakers came to the conclusion that it was too steep a price. I think more realistically, they were desperate and really tried to get something and no one wanted to bite, is probably the more realistic thing, but obviously the Lakers aren't going to come out and say that. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Maybe we can get a couple of starters with 3 firsts and Rui. I mean, I don't know. I don't really see the trajectory of fighting for a playing spot changing so long as we have the core and the assets and the coaching and the management and the ownership that we do. That's just kind of how I see it.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soros, Stone Hansen, Zangerstein, Henry Hill from Courtside Lakers was here as well. Truly appreciate it. We'll be back. I'm shutting this down early because nothing for us to talk about when it concerns the Lakers. Not like they did anything. But we will talk Kobe statue unveiling at 3 o'clock. Be with us, 3 o'clock Pacific, 2. Yeah, I know. 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. I said, God, your minds are in the gutter. 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock Pacific time. Yeah, I know. All right. All right. I've been here 2 hours. Give me a break. I'm going off of 4 hours sleep. Cut me some slack here. Yeah, I know. Shut up. But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Please go ahead and check us out here at 3 p.m. Pacific for the Kobe statue unveiling. Yeah, Penny my cat. Ha, 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 ha. All right. Guys, please, come on. You don't do this as long as I have, and you don't say things faux pas every now and then. Come on. Cut some slack. Cut me some slack. I just sat here for 2 hours, wasted my time as you did because the Lakers did nothing. So cut me some slack. I'm going to cut you guys some slack for staying here with us. So why don't you do the same? So for Joe Soro, Stone Hansen, Zangerstein, Gerald Glassford, thanks so much again for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. Joe, you're a juvenile. But I tell you what, we'll be back at 3. Go ahead and talk about Kobe. We'll have a special guest on as well. Looking forward to it. We'll see you then right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
Favorite North Carolina.
I hate you guys. I really do.